highly suggest you stop talking about my nephew.
Who's scared of you now?
I'm sorry, I don't talk Lamo.
Y'all looking stupid right now.
Big Brother, the ultimate reality TV social experiment. Spawning from a 1997 Dutch show of the same name, Big Brother made its debut in the US in July of 2000. It wasn't quite what we know today, however, as there were only 10 house guests, each casting 2 votes for whoever they would like to see leave. The eviction of one of the 2 highest votes would then be decided by the general public at home. When there were only 3 remaining, viewers at home would also vote on who would win the $500,000 prize. In full transparency, as big a fan of the reality TV show as I am, I have not seen the first season completely. And my hat's off to anyone who ended up accomplishing that arduous task of watching 70 episodes. Mind you, with 6 episodes to a week, there would be 5 30-minute daily recaps and an hour-long eviction show. But that monstrosity is to be explored another time. The show would swiftly find its footing in the following seasons, truly putting emphasis on
expect the unexpected.
We had exes living together, siblings unbeknownst to each other, and former rivalries reignited, all while cut off from the outside world.
Danielle's my daughter. And Danielle hasn't talked to me in 2 years.
That final example was from Big Brother 8 in 2007, which also happened to be the time the show began airing in Canada on Global, one of the country's largest networks. 5 years would go by until the network came to their senses and agreed to produce the first Canadian season of the show. Big Brother Canada's first season premiered in February of 2013 and would entertain viewers for 5 years before being placed on hiatus in 2017. However, fan support would echo so loud that the show was renewed for a 6th season, and the show would trudge along fine until hitting another speed bump in 2020. In light of the pandemic breaking out during the live broadcasting of Season 8, the season was cancelled. Thankfully, amidst the rough conditions, a 9th season was pumped out this last spring. The tumultuous journey is quite interesting, and it left us with 8 great seasons of content to indulge in. And yes, although Bbcan 9 is the last season, I did say 8 seasons. I've said it once and I'll say it again, Big Brother Canada 8 does not count as a season. It was only 25 days, there was only 1 real eviction, and I haven't even watched it, nor really care to. That being said, I did get around to watching all other 8 seasons, and finally, I'm ready to discuss and rank all of them. Also, a quick but obvious disclaimer, there will be heavy spoilers ahead for all of the show's seasons. Without further ado, let's get into my pick for last place, number 8, Big Brother Canada 7. Funny enough, this is the first season of Big Brother Canada I watched, and it has remained the worst. The Pretty Boys Alliance were undeniably dominant from start to finish, but they were collectively unlikable, and it made for a very one-sided season. I thought Dane was fairly tolerable throughout the season, and by the end, saw him as a great personable winner. That being said, I found the other 3 to be insufferable. Anthony, while having a sly social game, just came off as way too pompous and arrogant to me in his confessionals. Adam was a competition beast, but I didn't really vibe with his personality, and Mark was just an ultra douchebag the entire time. There are definitely a couple memorable elements here in Maki's hilarious exit,
a plague on this house, yo. I put a plague on all you guys.
And Kira's delusional perception of their game being phenomenal, only to get cut at Final 3. But this was a painful season to watch at times, notably seeing Corey be a sheep led to the Pretty Boys' slaughter, and the house's other end of Estefania and Damien not standing a chance. Overall, it's not the worst season of North American Big Brother, but I just got far more enjoyment out of watching every other Canadian season.
You try to look into people's souls and plant seeds, and I'm just not buying it. I'm chill, I'm calm, but
Your chill and calm got you on the block.
Coming in at number 7 in my rankings is Big Brother Canada 3. I feel like the main point of contention for this season with many fans of the show is the twist, specifically how they controlled the game. And I completely agree with that, but honestly, I didn't mind it much because I was a huge fan of Sarah and Brittany. That being said, however, the gameplay was inarguably corrupted by the twist, which is why the season is my second least favorite. Greg was somewhat entertaining, but his propa catchphrase got real old real quick. Neha was a solid player, and I was pissed to see her get royally screwed in the instant eviction. Also, looking over the season now, I really only was a true fan of 5 players, 6 at the most. I found the rest of them to be disingenuous and couldn't root for any of them. Johnny kinda started out a little funny, but slowly just became an annoyance. On the flip side, Cindy's re-entry into the game leading to Jordan's eviction on Zach's HOH is one of the most iconic moments in all of Big Brother history. I found the triple eviction a couple weeks later to be cool conceptually, but wasn't a huge fan of the execution, especially with the depressing departure of Willow. Then we have the enigma that is Godfrey, who, in addition to turning out one of the most memorable speeches of all time, somehow navigated all the way to the end while being one of the most polarizing characters in all of Big Brother. That's what makes it all the more disheartening that his answering of the final jury's questions was abysmal. Another memorable moment worth noting is Bruno saving Zach, which I understand why it was done, but made me shift to hating Bruno during my watch. In the end, however, though her gameplay wasn't the most amazing, I was glad to see Sarah win because she was just a super likable person.
God, honestly, I'm sorry, I don't have a joke for you, man. I thought you'd be sleeping. See you in the final two when you wake the fuck up.
Coming in at number 6 in my rankings is Big Brother Canada 4. Just like Bbcan 3, I don't think there are a ton of cast members that are worth noting, but the ones that are certainly better game players. The season starts with an eviction of the second youngest houseguest ever, Paige, at 19 years old, tied with Michelle Morady, who, funny enough, was from the 4th season of Big Brother US. While I initially wasn't a huge fan of Cassandra, her sociability and alliance building throughout the season made me really enjoy her gameplay. The international players twist has to be one of the most unique in the show's history, and I think Tim and Nikki fit in well with this cast. This is also the season responsible for bringing us Dallas, who I find to personally be one of the most entertaining characters I've ever seen. I also may be in the minority, but I didn't despise Nick and Phil. I hated that they were forced to play together, and I do think there were a couple more players deserving of winning, but I thought they were generally funny and likable for the most part, especially Nick. Another opinion some may disagree with was my enjoyment of the Lavita-Kelsey twist, but it was ultimately squandered when Kelsey ended up coming back. And while talking about her, let's acknowledge her awful relationship with Jared, who was just a huge jerk. And I'll never forget Raul's idiotic moment of straight up handing him the veto, leading to his own eviction. I loved seeing Mitch call everyone out and be right about everything in his iconic veto ceremony speech. One of the more sad moments was Ramsey's departure, as he seemed like a genuinely good dude throughout his time there. I also want to mention Joel and how I actually jived with him for a while, until he ultimately fumbled his game towards the end. Harkening back to what I said to open, I only have this season above Bbcan 3 because I think the few solid players here really stand out as great.
Ramsey's got it! Sorry, Tim!
Coming in at number 5 in my rankings is Big Brother Canada 1. Compared to its later iterations, the first season of Big Brother Canada can definitely seem underwhelming, but I have to respect it for creating the show's foundation. Aside from that though, I think the cast lineup was great with diversity, and it brought along captivating tension and drama. While I wasn't a huge fan of who he aligned with towards the start, I loved the player Gary turned into over the course of the season, and I was super excited to see him return at the final 5. Suzette's argument with Anil after he initially was crying was hysterical to watch, though she definitely did overplay her sympathy card like Emmett tried telling her. Speaking of Emmett, he might have been a dominant leader throughout the game, but I thought he was consistently super cocky and condescending, and it was gratifying to see his eviction before the final 2. Peter is someone I thought I could love as a cynical villain, but any iota of that was lost on me after he made the bonehead move of not using the veto on Topaz, inevitably leading to his departure directly following. One thing you may have noticed as I'm talking about this is my lack of mentioning the winner, Jillian. And that's honestly because I just wasn't a fan of hers. She definitely proved herself in the competitive aspect, but I didn't groove with her personality whatsoever. As mad as I was with the season's conclusion of Topaz's incorrect vote,
Wait a minute. Wait, what?
though I like Gary more, I can see the proper justification for why Jillian was the winner. It isn't the most insane season of Big Brother Canada, but it's where everything started, and it has a pretty great cast all around.
Everyone knows you talk shit. All you do is talk. What the f*** are you gonna say, Andrew? All you do is talk.
What are you talking about?
You ain't gonna do shit, because all you do is talk shit.
That's bullshit!
Coming in at number 4 in my rankings is Big Brother Canada 6. I feel like if you're talking about this season, the discussion of how the editing didn't justify the live feeds is bound to come up. As I saw this 3 years after its original release, my perspective is one that watched the season on its own, so I can't speak to any of that. With that said, I did think this was a super animated cast, and I mean that in the best way possible. The opening Heaven and Hell twist was pretty goofy, but I'm not sure Rosina would have stood a chance anyway. The pre-jury phase is admittedly mostly predictable, the exceptions being Hamza, who I loved, and Erica, who was a solid competitor. Also, despite not digging his personality much, I thought Johnny was a pretty solid and entertaining player. I'm honestly not sure what the public consensus was on adding the 2 new house guests in Veronica and Marin, but I just thought each of them amounted to playing dumb and pointless games. I was excited for Marin when he was the only one not drunk for the HOH comp following the previous night's party, but seeing him go out first was one of the most anticlimactic things ever. Canada's save was another dumb twist in the season, but I thought Ryan was so entertaining to follow, so I was happy to see him stay. The Dela destruction reminded me a lot of Jackson and Holly from BB21, but I actually didn't mind their power couple dynamic, and thought it was fairly compelling. I hated Kayla throughout most of the season, but was rooting for her by the end. But that isn't to say Paris isn't deserving at all. The thing that solidified that for me is their final speeches to the jury, where Kayla addresses them as idiots rather than just, honestly, kissing their ass. I would love to have done what Kayla did, but I think that definitely cost her the game, and Paris is a more than satisfying winner to me.
All of you, man. That's
Literally.
That's
Both of you. Literally both of you.
Coming in at number 3 in my rankings is Big Brother Canada 9. The newest season of the show had brought one of, if not the most likable casts in Bbcan history. With the exception of 3, maybe 4 people at the most, I think everyone on the cast was ready to play. Kyle was really the only person I actively disliked, while the villain role being played by Beth became increasingly fascinating to me throughout the season. I thought Victoria left her mark in the game in the best way, as her argument with Tara reminded me of old school arguments from the US show's older seasons. Judson using the veto on Beth only to be voted out himself has to be one of the worst all-time moves, but it was truly awesome to see Tara walk through that door directly after getting blindsided. It's probably not an unpopular opinion to say I think Kiefer would have definitely won the game had he made it past Final 4, but Deshaun was still a great winner. I'd put him in the same boat as Bbcan 7 Dane because they were both able to establish bonds with everyone, be solid at competitions, and just likable overall. I could probably gush about this cast all day, but one negative I'd have to say is that the season is fairly one-sided for the most part. But that didn't even bother me much because I liked most of that side. Call it recency bias, but I just thought Bbcan 9 was a very refreshing welcome from the show's previous 2 outings.
2 balls, and I gave him to him.
How does he have your
Physical He's got my vote.
Come on, Tara.
Physical wins Big Brother? Wow, we should have voted you up before jury.
Teams don't win Big Brother, that's for sure.
Before getting into these last 2, I wanted to say that these seasons are honestly interchangeable for me. I find myself waking up thinking one is better, then think the other one is throughout the day, and just constantly am flipping back and forth. Keeping that in mind, coming in second place as a runner-up in my rankings is Big Brother Canada 5. Let's get the main complaint out of the way here, which is that the cast is not fully all-stars. Even with that though, I think they were able to grab all of the imperative players and a handful of enjoyable newbies. William definitely did not fall into that category for me, however, as his saving Kevin with the secret power of veto has to be one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen. And speaking on that situation, Kevin's manipulation tactics towards William were definitely surprising to say the least, especially with his relationship with Pilar outside the house. One relationship I did love seeing blossom was that of Dimitris and Ika. I really liked both of them on their own already, and seeing them together looked like a perfect match, and I'm glad it has only proven to be that after the show. The return of Dallas was something I was very excited for, and though he wasn't in the house long, he gave us the super memorable stir-up with Dylan, who I grew to enjoy more and more as the season progressed. It was both shocking and depressing to see Gary leave as early as he did on the season, and the ruthlessness of Netta coupled with her safety till jury was quite frustrating for me. It all culminated in the best way possible, however, as Netta was sent out by fellow ally and alumni Sydney the literal minute her safety was revoked. Ika's argument with Netta during this moment was also super entertaining to watch, and her diary room vote out was the cherry on top.
Ika,
Hi, Arissa.
please cast your vote to evict.
I vote to evict Netta.
Just like Cindy's last season, however, her game sadly halted right after her incredible move, to which I felt super bad for her again. While her gameplay left a lot to be desired, I also really liked the presence of Karen here, and thought she was super entertaining throughout the season. The contentious relationship between her and Kevin all season was definitely fun to watch as well. Kevin's winning streak is something that I'd be remiss to not bring up, as I respect what he was able to do a lot, but definitely wanted either Ika or Dimitris to win more. Seeing him manage to get both of them out, however, was quite interesting, especially when he took Aika off the block and replaced her with Dylan at the final 5. At the finale, even not being the biggest Kevin fan myself, I loved his plead at the end and resonated with it a lot, as I'd also consider myself a super fan of the game. Something that isn't pivotal to the season but I wanted to talk about was Demetrius reading the teleprompter in the Toyota challenge, as it is one of the funniest moments I've ever seen in all of Big Brother.
Hi, I'm Toyota 80. Hi, I'm insert name. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Hi, I'm Dimitri Giannitos, and this is the new Toyota 86.
Finally, we've reached the number 1 spot, and if you haven't already guessed by process of elimination, it's Big Brother Canada 2. The newbie cast in this season is similar to Bbcan 9 in being memorable, but I think this season just gave us better players of the game. The first eviction of a Nick seemed very fitting to me because she appeared to be an outlier through that entire first week. Following that, Paul's racist allegation towards Andrew was wild to see unfold, and I never expected to see anything like that from Paul. And of course, I have to mention how this is the season that brought us Aika Wong, as well as her iconic moment of shredding everyone's letters from home. I found Adele to be a very personable underdog player to root for throughout the season, and was glad he made it to Final 5. His instigation of drama with Sabrina towards the end was also quite entertaining to me. While we're talking about Sabrina, I'll say that I thought she was an entertaining train wreck to watch, most notably for her good TV moment.
You want good TV? Does everybody want good TV? Is that what they want?
As large of an ego Arlie had throughout the season, I found his superiority complex to be fascinatingly hilarious. I would love to see him play again in a future season, think he would be very entertaining to watch for a second time around. And, saving the best for last, let's talk about John and Netta. Arguably the most compelling relationship in any BB season I've seen, US or Canada, the two were able to balance each other out throughout thanks to their social and strategical games. Netta was very good at deceiving everyone into thinking she was a floating fool, but she was definitely set up to win in the end. That is, until we get one of the most iconic moves of all time in John betraying her at Final 3 to solidify his own win. To me, John undoubtedly earns the title of a winner by the end, specifically one who represents the most talented aspects of a Big Brother game. Ultimately, what made me put this season over Bbcan 5 was its accessibility, or the fact that it's an all newbie season that doesn't require any prior seasons to be watched.
That replacement nominee is Arlie.
It's a big move.
Strictly game, brother.
Alright, so those are the official rankings of all of the seasons of Big Brother Canada. Every other list that doesn't rank them this way is simply wrong, and mine is a matter of fact, not opinion. But on a serious note, I'd love to read what all of y'all's rankings are in the comments below. I bet there's someone out there who has the seasons ranked in the exact opposite order, so let's start a conversation. If you guys enjoy this video, my rankings, or just simply want to support, hitting the like button would be greatly appreciated and help me out a ton. If you did not enjoy the video, however, you are more than welcome to press the dislike button. As the year is closing, I was thinking of making a recap video of all of the reality TV shows I indulged in over the year, regardless of if it was a game show. Aside from BB23 and Survivor 41, there are several other shows I could give my opinions on. Also on the docket is the top 10 Big Brother players to never win. I don't know if I should make respective lists for US and Canada or combine the two, so I offer the option to everyone to decide between in the comments below. This is probably going to be my last upload of the year, but I can't wait to continue to pump out more videos next year. With all that being said, however, that about ends this video. I'm Random Reality, thanks again for watching, and until my next video, always remember, enjoy yourself.